Here's a look at your market recap on this Friday, the 28th day of March. It is Friday, so of course a lot to unpack and talk about this afternoon as we recap this week's markets around the state. Some heavier rains through north central Missouri yesterday put a dampener on any field work that might have been about ready to occur in that area. West central Missouri, however, totally different story over there. They're fairly dry. The fields are working good and lots of corn planters putting seed in the ground now. Taking a look at some of our cattle indexes, our tracking measures, the Missouri Stocker formula based roughly on a 550-pound steer at the auction barns around the state, setting at 372.12. That's just a few cents below the all-time record high that was established a bit earlier this week. When we look at the CME feeder cattle index, it lost a few cents, almost $1 late this week from the record high that was set a few days prior. On Friday, that feeder cattle index based on an 800-pound steer up through the 12-state feeding region, setting at 286.76. We'll get into what happened around the auction barns around the state in just a few moments, but probably the exciting news for the day would be negotiated feedlot trade. As of the 2 o'clock cutoff time for the report on Friday afternoon, 25,500 head turned in. Of course, we expect there was probably some more trade, hopefully, after that 2 o'clock cutoff time. We won't get those numbers, of course, until Monday. But the action that occurred on Friday, at least on the dress side in the north, was quite exciting. Texas reported only about 720 head, all at 209 live. Kansas had about 3,500 head, 207 to 210, mostly at 209. Iowa turned in about 9,600 head, 212 to 214 live. Dress sales from 332 to 345. Nebraska reported about 7,600 head, 212 to 214 live. The dress sales there, 330 to 345 dressed, with a significant number of those from the 340 to 345 mark. As of that data that we have in so far, the live sales actually steady to a bit lower for the week. However, there's probably a fair number of live sales that occurred in the north that could pull that average up. The dress sales, however, steady to $10 higher for the week. Box beef cutout values, choice closed on Friday at $332.82. That was down $2.90 for the day, but up $7.37 for the week. Select at $318.68, down 76 cents for the day, but up $8.86 for the week. Friday's volume, 113 loads of cuts, trimmings, and grinds, a choice select spread setting at $14.14. At the auction barns around the state this week, going to end up with somewhere around 32,000 head when we get all the data in. Got a couple of cow sales and some late Friday feeder cattle trade that we don't have quite tabulated yet, but we'll end up somewhere around that 32,000 mark. Feeders around the state this week, fully $5 higher. Some of the calves, $10 higher. And, of course, there was some spots that was significantly sharply higher than that. Taking a look at some of the stick-out drafts this week, over 20 head at the auction barns. Kingsville Livestock Auction, they reported 44 head of 403-pound steers. They were thin, ready to go to eating that green grass. They sold at 488. 27 head of 468-pound steers at Joplin Regional Stockyard sold at 417. Had 20 head at Joplin as well, 505 pounds, 395. The statewide average price on those light 5 weights at 386. Interstate Regional Stockyards in Cuba, 30 head of 583-pound steers at 373. F&T Livestock Market in Palmyra, they had 21 head of 601-pound steers, so at 363. Callaway Livestock Center early on Monday, 24 head, 702-pound steers at 330. The average price on those light 7 weights for the entire state this week at 314. Lawley Brothers Livestock Market in Macon, 26 head of 757-pound steers at 301. Joplin Regional Stockyard sold 137 head of 823-pound steers at 294. Then back at Callaway Livestock Center, they had 120 head, 926-pound steers at 279.10. Taking a look at a couple of stick-out drafts of heifers this week, 27 head of 526-pound heifers at Callaway sold at 366. The average price for the state on those light 5 weights this week at 338. Kingsville Livestock Auction, they sold 144 head of 722-pound heifers at 295, and those heifers were going to feed and not going home as replacements. The average price for the entire state this week on light 7-weight heifers, 283. Another stick-out sale of heifers was a full load of 917-pound heifers, Joplin Regional Stockyards, 250.50. Taking a look at the closing futures markets on Friday, did see quite a bit of red in the livestock sector on Friday. April live cattle, 208.82, down 72. June at 204.85, down 95. August, 201, down 80. Feeder cattle, we have moved to the April contract here as the March expired on Thursday afternoon. April closed the day 62 lower, 286.92. May down $1.35 at 285.17. August at 289.67, down 97. Most all those contracts did, however, close a bit higher for the week, but not anything like we had seen in previous weeks. Lean hogs for April, 86.70, down 32. May, 88.47, down 37. And June lean hogs, 95.77, down 40. Turning our attention to the grain markets. Of course, when we talk about grains, big news will come out Monday as one of the most anticipated reports of the year will be published. The first official estimate guesses of pre-report plantings prior to the official estimates that will be released midday on Monday. Corn acres, of course, are expected to be much larger, somewhere around 94 million acres expected to be planted. The beans, of course, they're expected to be a lot lower this year, somewhere around 83.8 thousand is the pre-report estimate for the beans. Taking a look at the cash grain bids today at the elevators around the state for the week, soybeans closed 11 to 18 cents higher, wheat 30 lower, corn 7 to 11 lower. Corn bids on Friday in the St. Louis region, 464, Kansas City 413 to 447. Soybean bids in St. Louis on Friday, 1041 to 1042, Kansas City 968 to 1023. Wheat bids in St. Louis on Friday, 512 to 528, Kansas City at 508. On the Board of Trade, corn contracts, May closed 3 1/4 higher, 453 1/4. July up 2 at 460. All the rest of the contracts 1 to 1.5 lower. September 435 1/4. That was down a penny. Soybeans, May closed the week at 1023, up 6 1/4. July at 1037 1/4, up 6 3/4, and August at 1034, up 7. Wheat contracts, May at 528 1/4, down 3 3/4. July 542 3/4, down 4.5. September down a nickel at 559 1/4. Soybean meal for May down $1 a ton, 293.50. Soybean oil for May up 89 cents a hundredweight at 45.16. With the Missouri Department of Agriculture, that's a recap of your markets for this week. This is Tony Hancock.